I want to say hello and good morning to our listeners from around the world. I want to welcome you to another edition of This Morning with Soulivity, broadcasting live from our studio right here in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and I'm so glad you're here again with us. We've got a great show. But I have to introduce you to my beautiful and amazing co host today, Sheila Applegate. Good morning, Sheila.
Good morning.
How was your week going so far?
Good.
Really?
Great.
All right.
Yeah. Yep. I think the spring comes and I get very social. So I went out with friends again last night and
Mm-hmm.
and just really enjoying I love my land. So when spring comes, it's just so exciting to just be outside.
I know yes, as you know, but
Yeah.
other people don't know. I've been doing a lot of work in our yards, kind of doing this landscaping and get everything really beautiful. Yes, Sheila, I will send you pictures. Um, and that's been just so enjoyable, just being out in nature. And here's the cool thing. So as I've been doing it, there's been this little family of robins
Mm.
that have been coming into our backyard specifically. Every time I'm done, they're like flying there and like, oh, thank you very much for cleaning this up. We needed a place to kind of build our nest and hang out.
Right? Ah, that's so fun. Zach noticed the other day that out his office window here, there you can see from above looking down onto a robin's nest as she feeds her babies. That
Wow.
was
Oh,
really
I
cool.
love
Yeah.
that. Oh, that is so cool. I mean, isn't that what it's all about sometimes? I mean, with all the things that are happening in the world, I mean, we'll be talking about a lot of this stuff later on in the week. But it seems as though right now, specifically America is going through its own transformational kind of phase, which can be
Mhm.
chaotic.
Mhm.
And just to get out in nature where everything is naturally flowing with the universe. I mean, there is no there is no political agendas. There is no that the birds are flying and doing their nests, and deer are going around, hanging around, and doing whatever they're doing, and it's like, wow, okay, I can breathe.
Yeah, it's pure joy. I'm like a little kid when I get in relationship with animals. Like,
Hmm.
I have
Hmm.
crows that now come and look in my window for me to go bring them food, and they trust me, and I just love it.
Oh, wow. That is
Love that communication.
amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I have a lot
Party
of
at Sheila's
relationships
house.
with the outside people, that's what I call them.
Party at Zach and Sheila's house. Anyway, listen, we have another fantastic hot topic today. But we want to kick it off today with this one clip again from our one of our favorites YouTube host. And let's just let him talk about this one intro in terms of the topic that we're going to be talking about today. Take it away, Bo.
Mhm.
Howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about some polling and we're going to talk about change and why people are changing what they believe. We're going to do this because this is something that I have believed was the case for a long time, but I never had any numbers to back it up. It was an article of faith on my part. But now there's some polling on it. And I think a lot of people might find it pretty enlightening. So, to start off with, the percentage of people who changed their religious affiliation, they changed what they believed over the course of their lifetime, is now 24% in the United States. That's a wild number because in 2021, it was 16%. That means it's gone up 50%. That's huge. So you have to ask why, right? I mean, that's the question everybody would want to know. Why are people changing their religious affiliation? The number one reason is they lost the faith. They stopped believing. Okay, that's 56%. The number two reason is negative teachings or treatment of the LGBTQ community, 30%. That's pretty wild. You have a massive increase in the number of people changing their religious affiliation, and 30% of them are citing negative teachings or treatment of the LGBTQ community. This is something I have believed for a really long time, but I never had the numbers. Couldn't really find them. I believed it because, I mean, it's a little hard to sit there and listen to somebody say how Jesus is the perfect embodiment of love, and then talk about hate, and then preach hate. Something else that's interesting, same study, same poll, is that 17% switched their church or congregation because it became too political. Separation of church and state, that's good for the church and the state. This is a massive amount of people. The reason the pews are becoming more and more empty is because a lot of people have decided that it is easier to preach hate rather than preach love. And now it's not just me saying that. There's numbers to back it up. People are leaving churches. They are changing their religious affiliation because of negative treatment or teachings about the LGBTQ community. That's the main reason, second only to literally just not believing anymore. And I would imagine that for a whole lot of people, those two are interrelated. I would imagine there's a lot of people who don't believe anymore because they saw somebody who was a religious leader in their community preaching hate rather than preaching love. The numbers are there. You want to know why attendance is down? There's your answer. But since you probably don't care about that, may not even keep track of those numbers, if you want to know why there's less in the collection plate, there's your answer. It's cheaper to be a good person. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.
Woo! So we are talking today about why people are leaving religion. Another important topic that does not get discussed. And we want to remind everybody that, listen, we want your questions, your comments, your thoughts about today's topic. Just post them right to our live feeds on Facebook and YouTube, and we will get you in on this conversation. So what say you, Sheila?
Thank you, Bo, once again.
Preaching the truth.
Right. So, this is a funny, well, sort of funny story within the whole context of all of this. But I, last week, I think this is when this clip, when he did this episode of his show, his YouTube channel. But just before that, I had just kind of gotten bombarded in my field with different articles about more laws against transgender or the whole LGBTQ community. And, my heart is so connected to this community, and I want to support it and want to find ways to use my voice to help And at the same time, I'm so sick of talking about all the laws that are against them, and
Right.
because it just keeps coming up and it's diverting our attention to just that
Yeah.
and not moving forward. And so then I thought, oh, how could I talk about this differently? And then an hour later, I go to listen to Bo. I'm like, oh, thank you, Bo.
Thank you,
Let's
Bo.
talk about that,
Appreciate
because
you, man.
there is a whole topic about the religion and spirituality, and I'm looking forward to talking about that. But there's an element of hope in this,
Yeah.
because the hope, to me, the knowing, it's confirmation of my knowing that, as chaotic as the extreme discriminatory people are, the far right, I'm going to say, because that's what it is, that are holding us back and trying to go backwards into old ways of thinking and separation. That's in our face all the time. But the truth is, it's not what the people feel. It's not the majority. And it's actually moving people forward underneath the chaos of it, right?
Right.
Because the people are moving into claiming their own truth.
Right.
And I'll be done preaching now. Otherwise, I'm
Oh, it's
gone
okay.
for the whole show.
All right, Sheila. I love it. Reverend Dr. Deacon. I mean, I was like Bo. I have had those thoughts around what's been happening with religions, specifically here in America, because those polls are reflected for Americans. Just want to make sure
Mhm.
that we level set there. And that I had always thought that people had been leaving, but again, the facts weren't there yet.
Right.
And so it was just kind of not necessarily shocking, but kind of like, kind of, uh-huh, yeah, okay, yeah,
Mhm.
okay. Like some kind of validation around what I was feeling and thinking. And in our next segment, we'll get into how this is not just something that's brand new. This is
Mhm.
something that's been going on for a while, and how, like you were just saying, Sheila, totally get that the laws that have been around now just supercharged people leaving,
Right.
specifically because of what he said around, um, you know, in certain religious institutions or large scale swaths of religious beliefs. A lot of, like, in evangelicals, for instance, they're teaching hate, right? I mean,
Mhm.
and it's like, and not all, we're
Mhm.
talking at a macro level, because there are some that are out there that are doing the exact opposite, right? But that
Right.
this is something that's been happening. So let's just take a quick break and kind of take that in, take what Bo kind of, talked about. And when we come back, we'll kind of like juxtapose this to some facts and figures that were from the past to kind of show that this is a trend. This has been a trend going on. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of This Morning with Soulivity.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. We are talking about why people are leaving religion. We just kind of showed some graphics. I'll bring up just in case you missed uh, Bo's kind of talking about what's been going on in the world. As you can see, in the US, roughly 3 in 10 adults now are religiously unaffiliated. And that's been from 2007 to 2021. And you can see that no religion kind of like ticking up there by 7 points. It's up almost up to 30% now. And this is who, I just want to make sure that people understand this is who people identify with, right? So
Right.
they identify with Christianity as a whole. This doesn't mean that they are quote unquote religious. I would say I would have to look at how they ask that question.
Right.
But to dig in a little bit deeper here, just to let people know, first and foremost, that poll is kind of, from Pew, has also been confirmed in other polling. So the PRRI, I'm trying to remember what PRRI, public research something organization. I'm not as prepared today as I usually am. They also confirmed this, and that this has been going on for a while. And this is from polling from 2011 to 2017, whereas you can see the last motivation why people are leaving their childhood religion. The last one is there's 3 here. The last one is their experience of negative religious teachings about or treatment of gay and lesbian people at 29%. So earlier in the decade, this was number 3 out of the top 3. And now in this decade, it's now crept up to number 2. So you got to ask the question, okay, why is that happening? Here's something also that's pretty interesting. A quarter of Americans now see themselves as spiritual, but not religious. And they have not updated this poll yet, but this is from 2011 to 2017, where a quarter of the US adults, 27%, now say that think of themselves as spiritual but not religious, up 8 percentage points in 5 years, according to Pew Research Survey. This growth has been broad-based. It has occurred among men and women, whites, blacks, and Hispanics, people of many different ages and educational levels, and amongst Republicans and Democrats. For instance, the share of whites who identify as spiritual but not religious has grown by 8 percentage points in the past 5 years. So again, this is not something new.
Right.
It's only supercharged. Look at this and say, okay, what's changed, right?
Right.
And what's changed is that there's been a concerted effort to, demonize and discriminate and be prejudicial toward, people of the LGBTQ plus community, as well as like other kinds of conformity, kind of the religious conformity kind of things, where there's like hate speech and stuff like that that's been used.
Yeah, I think it's just also so much more public, right? People are all of these things were underlying in the religious communities, for the most part. Like if we go back, and I don't know the development of all of the different religions, but just using Christianity, we showed in that that's what the majority of our country identifies with. But we know that Christianity was built after Jesus was here, even by the stories. And it was started by the Roman Empire to try to control and to regulate where the money was going. So it's at its core, the structure of religion in most situations is about control, is about power. Now, that doesn't mean you can't find the truth or the gems of that spirituality, or that there aren't really great people who have a deep connection to something in there. But, that whole church versus state and separating those two. It's in our Constitution for a reason.
Right.
At the same time, um, it's blurry because the church, for the most part, has a lot of money and power, depending on. I,
Hmm.
I was raised Protestant Lutheran, so on their own, I don't think they had Christianity. Then.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, and we're laughing because I don't know if just to kind of level set, I mean, around this kind of stuff, if you know your history around like the Lutheran church, Lutherans have been very giving. You know, they're
Mhm.
been a very giving, along with maybe Episcopalians, I think, to a certain
Right.
degree, where I'm trying to remember the saint that's Lutheran, that's like the saint of giving or something like that. I'm trying to remember, but you know, you guys were a little different
Well,
than.
and we're the rebellious ones, right?
Yeah,
With
yes, yes.
Martin Luther
Martin
and the
Luther, yes.
95 Theses, right? Like that's we were, but you know what? It's so interesting because I was raised in that, and then moved on to study metaphysics in a metaphysical
Right,
Christian church,
right.
and got ordained, and then sort of then moved away even from that structure to include everything.
Hmm.
But from the childhood, and I stood up to my minister right from the beginning with, like, you can't tell me Dayla's going to hell because she was born Jewish. Like,
Right, right, right.
that's not okay. But,
Right.
but from that point on, I went back to an event that it was a comedian who I actually really like, but it was held by the Lutheran community. And I went back as an adult and I looked at all the people and I'm like, oh my gosh, we were so conservative. We were so uptight.
Right.
Because they still were. I'm like,
Right.
oh, wow.
Right. Right. I mean, just to let people know, I mean, early in my life, you know, we were part of a group where you couldn't even listen to secular music. Right, you weren't
Mm,
supposed to listen to secular music. You're only supposed to listen to gospel, and then gospel without music, without instruments.
oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, but it was my dad's journey of, you know, him being a minister within that group, but listening to secular music. Like there's nothing in the Bible that says that, right? That you can't
Right,
do that.
right. Yeah.
And then his study of other religions, and then the great schism in terms of, you know, the splinter groups that came after. I'm trying to remember the actual, not Reformation, it's something else before that. But
Right.
anyway, you know, he discovered metaphysics, new age thought, and those kind of things, and fell right into it. Like, yeah, this is where we need to be. This is where I need to be. And then we
Hmm.
came right on along. Uh, because as a kid, like you, it didn't make sense. It's like, you know, why would a loving God send people to hell to
Right.
be torment? It makes more sense to me that we as human beings are creating a hell of sorts on this earth, you know, instead of
Right.
moving into the flow of joy and happiness and love and that kind of thing.
Right. Now, I do want to say, like, that I did stand up to the things I didn't believe as a child, but I did feel a lot of connection to the divine, to, God
Yeah, yeah.
and Jesus, and there
Yes.
was love in my church, and there was amazing community, and, the LGBTQ community was welcome. So
Oh,
I'm not down
wow.
talking.
That's nice.
Um, I'm not down talking all of that. Like I said, I think there was beauty. I'm really glad I was raised in it, but
Mhm.
I feel like as a humanity, we are growing
Right.
in our consciousness. So people that structure can start to hold you back
Right.
from your real connection. And I
Right.
think that's also what we're experiencing, is this waking up of humanity.
You know, I agree with you because I remember the moments of deep prayer, And even the singing. I mean, the singing and the congressional kinds of things where you're there together
Mhm.
and you're in this body where everybody is celebrating, the essence of God, which is everything and everyone, right? And that
Right.
it's there. I guess we're both kind of pointing out that there's aspects of this that just aren't working.
Right. And I think that even as the generations come up, I think we're less likely to just accept. We have more access to truth, more access and exposure to
Right.
different types of people. And so we're not going to just accept what the church said as our power.
And to that point, the number one reason in what both from the fifth column has just stated in his comments and in all of these pollings has not changed is the number one reason, and that is that the motivation for leaving their childhood religion, the number one reason is they stop believing in the religious teachings.
Yeah, that's what the religious, not necessarily the spiritual, right? Like, I don't think that
Correct.
people are all I think science is also being attributed to this
Yeah.
because some people move towards science. I think you can come to the same conclusion
Mm-hmm.
going that
Mm-hmm.
direction in
Mm-hmm.
different words. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think that people are necessarily walking away from a divine energy.
Exactly, because what we see is, and we just put up a poll here where people aren't walking away from the seeing the God in everything and or universe in everything or whatever
Right,
you want to say. They're leaving the doctrine and dogma of
right,
religion, as you can see here, just from the early in the decade. The number of people who are spiritual but not religious has grown 8 points, and that's not even including from 2017 till now.
right.
And so there is this movement around, how do I want to commune with the divine? How do
Mhm.
I want to do that? And that there's just this growing group that's saying, I don't need a specific religion to do that.
Right. I think more people actually are having a direct connection with the
Yep.
divine and even using, the same terminology perhaps
Mm-hmm.
that was in the religion, but now
Mm-hmm.
we can go, directly to source. And I had a better, well, I always actually felt really close to Jesus and Magdalene, but I sure grew to know them more when I went on my own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's interesting about all this is that there's a why that like I was reading that one information where the people who are finding their own spirituality is a vastly diverse group, that it's
Right.
beyond politics. So if any of you are out there talking about, well, this is more politically driven, no, it's not. We have polling right here that states that no, both Democrats and Republicans here in the United States are moving into just spirituality without the religion. It
Right.
doesn't matter beyond race, beyond gender, um, beyond education and age, and that this is wide. It's wide. In fact, there was this article in BuzzFeed that talked about, there's the Jake Farrington, and thank you, Jake, for getting this up and writing. This is fairly new. This only happened a couple of months ago, where he asked his community why to tell him about the moment they realized that organized religion was no longer for them. And he literally got hundreds of responses around this. Um, I'll put this in the chat here so that people can kind of read it for themselves, but it was amazing to read through some of these. And I'll just
Yeah.
give this, I'll give the first one real quickly. Um, they said, my ex-husband cheated and got another woman pregnant. He expected me to raise the baby because she wanted an abortion and he didn't, quote unquote, believe in it. So he had this plan all worked out, except I wouldn't play along. I went to seek an annulment from the church, and the priest I spoke with basically told me to, and I quote, look inward to discover the root of his infidelity. Meaning, in her mind, a translation is, it's my fault he cheated. And to, quote, turn the other cheek, as Jesus taught us. In other words, let it continue. I divorced him and the church. And so, I mean, you know, you got to ask yourself. I mean, I wouldn't, that's a great reason.
Right. And I think the more empowered people feel, the less, they're going to accept those types of things.
Yeah. I mean, this dude cheats on you. His mistress is having a baby, and you want
is being forced to have a baby.
Right, is being forced to have a baby. That's right. That's right.
Because of your religious belief.
So let's just be clear. So you got a cheater and two women, one of which is by him being forced to have a baby, and the other one is not only being forced to stay married to the cheater, but to raise this other woman's child.
Sisters got to stick together.
Yeah, I think they should. Yeah, I think that the two of them should have got together and said, no.
I'm sure they're good friends now.
And so that's just an example. And we'll give some more examples after we, take a quick break. Wow, this is a great topic, Sheila.
It is good. It's good to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, and I know that there's some of you out there that maybe, it's kind of like, a little nervous energy around talking about it. Listen, we're number one, we're giving facts and figures and information that you can look up yourself around this. I know with the young people that I've talked to, they don't have any interest in being in a religion. They have more interest in holistic health that includes spirituality. So mindfulness, meditation, communing with the divine in their own way. They're very much around that. So, it's just, it just is what it is. It just is what it is. And the world is changing. So we're going to take a real quick break because I want to get to more of these reasons why people left religion and have, you chime in, Sheila. So listen, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with more of This Morning with Soulivity.
Years ago, when I started Soulivity, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit Soulivity.com now.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. We are talking about why people are leaving religion, and right now we're talking about this great BuzzFeed article by Jake Farrington, where he interviewed. Actually, he put out to his community a question about, telling him the moment they realized that organized religion was no longer for them, and he literally got hundreds of responses. And so we're kind of going through some of them with you. Let's see, let me find this other one that was there. Let's see. Here's one. In middle school, I went to a Southern Baptist private school. It was drilled into my head that women needed to cover up Women needed to cover up and be modest, and that my job in life would be to marry a Christian boy and have Christian babies. I was a size double D by the time I was a freshman in high school, and boys started to notice and make comments. When I complained to my teachers, I was told needed to wear baggy clothes, which I did. I started wearing black and neutral tones to fade into the background, participated less in class so people wouldn't look at me. It all came to a head my junior year in high school when I was sexually assaulted at church in a bathroom by the pastor's son, who I also went to school with. The pastor blamed me. I was done with religion that day, and so were my parents. It screwed up my head for years. Woo!
Yeah, that's really loaded there too,
Woo! And these
Going
are
back, yeah,
yeah, and these are stories from people. I mean, again,
right.
read the article, everybody. I mean, go check it out.
But that everything came together with that. Like she had really explosive experience, but even just going back to the dress and the dress codes at school, which
Yes.
drive me crazy because
Me.
it's the same thing of blaming the women for the males' inability to control themselves,
Mhm,
or the
mhm.
girls. Like a lot of times it's little girls that were doing this too. But that is also infused, right? Those mentalities come from the early Christian influence on our country as well. So
Right.
we can't really we have to dissect it. We have to look. We can't just separate that and say, oh, schools are doing this. We really, I think, have to come to terms with the good and the bad that came
Mhm.
from the foundation of Christianity in our early development of our country, and know that at the same time, it was always intended to bring people from different cultures, to allow for diversity of religion. Like that
Mhm.
is at our core what we are supposed to be doing.
Right. 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 And I think too that um come to some truth and reconciliation around the ugliness of how religion has been used to control our
Mhm.
politics and our laws and that how people view other people. I mean, there's another one I'm going to talk about in just a second, but you know, slavery was justified through religion.
Right. As our wars, right? They're
As
going to
our
hell
war.
anywhere way. So
Exactly.
if we can't think like that. We can't
No,
think like that. That's just not divine,
no, no, not at all. I'm gonna give another quick um story from someone who wrote into this BuzzFeed article. Said, I stopped believing when the Sunday school teacher couldn't tell me why all colors of children were loved by Jesus. But once they became adults, she referred to them with racial slurs. I wasn't welcome in her class after that.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, I mean, and again, Sheila, I know, I don't have to speak for you, but I know, Sheila, we're both not saying that all churches are bad, that all religions are bad. What we're saying is that there's aspect of religion here in America that is not cool, and that people are leaving because it's not cool.
Let's say it this way, the church is built on sand. The
Man,
church,
yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah.
if you wanna go to the Bible, the
Mhm.
foundation. We
Right,
have to look back at the foundation and the structure, and if you have a church within that is loving, nurturing, and absolutely. I mean, I recently facilitated the wedding of an LGBTQ couple in a church that
right.
welcomed them and
Exactly.
allowed me in to do the service. So, um, there is still beauty in community and church. I think the ones that are continuing to grow are acknowledging that the structure underneath it is problematic, and therefore they are forging their own path within that.
I love this idea of evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus evolved, right? Muhammad evolved. I mean, all these people, all these prophets, and
Right.
they all evolved throughout their whole life. They were not stagnant. And so I look at, this idea that there are churches that are now welcoming uh people who are historically not been welcome, right? That they're welcoming them in, and they're evolving to include people, and they're also evolving in terms of, okay, what is our message here? What is the truth about what we want to teach, right?
Right.
And if we want to teach that God, or whoever you're worshiping or whatever your religion stands for, that everybody is love and loved, then there is no room for hate. There is no room for
Right.
the
Right.
slurs, the forcing women to do stuff that other words, they don't have autonomy over their bodies. I mean, come on.
Right.
Come
Right.
on.
I feel like, first of all, I have gone on to explore, because I had that inside of me to want to know about all of the religions, or as many as I could, because I think that truth will find itself in every form.
Yeah.
And so but I still have that close connection to Jesus, along with other prophets and messiahs that have gone before us. But they all, I just keep hearing, but I feel like it's like Jesus saying it, like, what would Jesus do? Right? What would Jesus say? Right? Well, what would Jesus say? Jesus was a rebel. Jesus was a rebel who fought against the structure of what held people from the God that Jesus knew.
In fact, one guy who I would love to have on the show is Rocco Errico, who is a student of George Lampus, who looked at the Bible and its chapters in the original Aramaic, and did more direct translations from that, included culture at the time and all that kind of stuff. One thing about this, like we were just talking about, like divorce, for instance, Jesus was a adamant person against divorce as it stood at that time, which is almost incongruent with the patriarchal view of it today, where women were property,
right?
And that the only way that they could not be property was the man would allow them to be divorced, but not for them to go out and be alone, so that another man could marry them and bring them into the fold. So it was
trading your property, right? It was a brokering deal.
Exactly. It was a way of brokering women. That's where it originally came from. So of course Jesus was like, you can't treat women as property.
Right.
So I'm but he didn't say that I'm anti-marriage in the sense of two people coming together to support each other in life through love.
Right.
He was all about that, right? But not, oh, well, you're married because I now own you.
Right.
It's just craziness. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some final thoughts about this. So we'll be right back in about 2 minutes.
Hey there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity, and I'll go to final thoughts from you, Sheila.
I guess I want to say love is love. And, we talked about this in a pretty blunt way today,
Yeah.
but we all have our own spiritual journey
Yeah.
and we all have our path. And if you're finding a way that serves you, that you feel supported in, and you're loving of other people and respectful, I think, I honor your journey in any way. I am excited about the structure that holds us back as a culture, as a humanity kind of falling away. And that brings me hope. It doesn't
Yeah.
bring me hope that we're going away from spirit or the divine, but rather that we're seeing truth and we're finding the love that was
Yeah.
always meant to be there.
Absolutely. My thoughts are this, and I'm going to read this one piece that's from that BuzzFeed article. Kind of really touched my heart, and that was, a guy befriended me at my last church. He included me in a lot of activities, and at that time, I needed a friend. He pressured me into getting baptized, and right after that, he cut me loose. He told me that he had never really wanted to be friends with me, but he wanted to save my soul.
Mm.
And that one really hit me hard. I mean, the other ones did too. But I was looking at this from the perspective of not us questioning the basics around religion and spirituality, which at its core is all about us having a connection with our creator, right? And with our
Mhm.
universe, and however you want to put it, that connection to something that is that where we're all connected and is greater than what our physical self can imagine, right?
Mhm.
And that it is okay for any of us to question how that is being used through behavior. And that if the behavior does not match that
Mhm.
sentiment of love, of being loved, of inclusiveness and diversity and all these things, that it is okay for you to make a decision around how you want to have that connection and express it to other people.
Mm. That's
That's it.
beautiful. Mm.
That's it. That's it. That's my final thought. So there's a lot of things going on. We've got some exciting news that's going to be shared in the upcoming weeks. But Sheila, you've got some really cool things happening. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Just before I go to that, I just want to say the final thought after what you said. And I do think that as we make this shift, people are longing for community. And maybe we can even do another show on how to find community in new ways.
Oh, I like
I'm putting
that.
that out there for everybody. We'll do that.
I
So,
like that.
yeah.
Woo, woo, woo.
And then coming up for me, we have many different things. So, if you would like to get a more intimate connection with your soul energy and the divine, I do offer soul connection sessions. And they help you connect to your own spiritual guidance, to understand yourself more, and they are designed for you. We talk a little bit first and see what you want to help do that. And if you're here on Soulivity, you get a $44 discount off your first session by using the code SOUL23, using capital letters for soul.
Sweet.
And then we do have a fractal illumination coming up on June 3rd. And that you can find at my website, SheilaApplegate.com. That is really all about being supported in the shift that we were talking about. And then one final thing, we have a book. There is a book, an oracle book of energy healing, and fractal illumination is highlighted in that. And that comes out next week as well.
Yay. And we're going to put all this information in our chats so that you can find out more information about what Sheila's doing. I highly recommend that you do, because, it'll help you out. I'm just putting these things in our chat here real quick so we can get to our wrap, which I'm hating because it's so great today. Listen, everybody, this is how we do it every Monday through Friday. We are so glad that you're here, and we want to say thanks for joining us. This is what we do on This Morning with Soulivity. We talk about things and have conversations to empower you. Join us every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern for our live broadcast on our social platforms, or you can listen Thursday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific on Thursday and Friday on KMET 1490 AM for all of you guys out on the West Coast. Thank you for being here, Sheila.
Thank you for having me.
More great stuff to come this week, so make sure you tune in, including a giveaway tomorrow. We're going to do a giveaway. So,
yay.
Yeah. So just make sure that you join in for that. Until
we have a guest tomorrow too.
Yeah, we have a guest tomorrow too. So you want to join in for that as well. So until next time, keep having real conversations with passion and purpose, and create a life full of high quality living today. We'll see you next time. Bye.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.